What's going on, everybody? My name is Quentin Robinson, and I'll be your instructor for today. Best way I can tell you is this. Overall, I thank you all for choosing to take that first step into becoming your very own dispatcher. Because a lot of people won't even take that step. A lot of people will say, "Hey, you know what? I was thinking about dispatching, or I'm finna do dispatch. Finna. I'm from the South." All right. So finna is I'm about to, okay? So I'm about to be dispatching, all of that other good stuff. And then it's like, how many of those people actually take the step in which you're doing right now? So even though, you're taking a step and you're saying, hey, you know what? I'm very interested in this space. Let's just put this space, right? I'm very interested in this space. Overall, the main thing is that if you feel like you can help someone, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't feel like you can help someone, or you're not the type of person to help someone, this is the wrong industry for you. Go ahead and click out right now. Okay? If you feel like, hey, you know what? I want to be able to help people, but I also want to be able to make money. This is definitely the place for you. Okay? So, if you help someone, you get a percentage of the load, and trust me, some of these loads are ridiculous, you guys. I'm so serious. We're going to jump into a little bit of load boards and stuff today, and we're just going to jump from city to city, well, from state to state, all of that other good stuff. And I just want to show you guys what the market is looking like. Because, like, the news is going to tell you, oh my goodness, like COVID did this and COVID did that. But look at the trucking industry, right? The trucking industry still provided gas to people. Even when there was a lockdown, like really think about that. When there was a lockdown, there were still people getting gas. People still needed groceries. How do you think they got there? Right? Then you also had like people going to the hospital. Supplies needed to be moved back and forth. How do you think they got there? See what I'm saying? There's parts that need to be moved. People needed their cars fixed. All this other stuff. Canned goods, fresh produce, all of that. Tissue paper, water. How do you think it got there? A truck brought it in the middle of a crisis. Got it? Good. All right. So I'm so glad for you guys to actually choose iDispatch. Now, you know what? I just felt today, I just really felt really good today that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to share some knowledge with everyone today and just give it to them. Now, I will say this. Today, what I give you is going to be what will most likely be covered on Saturday. However, please still show up to the live thing on Saturday for the simple fact that you're going to be able to ask some questions, and I'm going to answer your questions that you ask me live. So if you watch this, then you actually got some time to put your questions together, and then you could just like, hey man, I'm trying to get to this next level, right? As you see, we're already here. So once again, I thank you all for coming to iDispatch, and so can you. You guys can dispatch as well. So let's get into it. All right. So our promise. Let me go ahead and move me a little bit. All right. So our promise to you during this training, you will learn about how you can make money with no experience dispatching semi trucks. Now I know some of you are probably already here thinking, all right, well, what if I got uh charges on my background? It doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. I'm going to show you guys how you start your own business to where you don't have to wait for an approval for someone else. Some of you are going to ask, well, what if I don't have any experience? It doesn't matter. As long as you got the training and you're working for yourself, right? You're working for yourself. That's going to make a difference. And I'm going to give you the tools all the way through. You guys will see, like, through today's training. What if you're like, oh, well, I didn't finish college or I didn't finish high school. Is this still possible for me? Yes! It's still possible for you. You're working for yourself. You're going to learn how to structure your own business. You're going to learn how to put your own business together. You're going to learn how to get your own website, 800 number, all of that. Literally for less than a new iPhone. Some of y'all buying J's and y'all buying bags and y'all doing all of that. But in certain cities, it's $128 to start a business. We investing in the wrong things, people. We investing in the wrong things, people. Let's invest in ourselves. So let's keep going. All right, so you also going to learn about the different roles of the supply chain. You're also going to learn about the startup costs, because a lot of people ask me about that. Like, well, how much is it going to cost me for me to start up this business, for me to maintain this business, so on and so forth. Usually, I'm going to just be, matter of fact, I'm going to hold that, because when I tell you guys the number, you guys are going to be like, no way. No way. How you females do it? No way. All right. So anyway, and I'm going to show you how to make money. Anywhere from 1,000. I average about $1,500 per truck per lane, right? So throughout that week, I may move that truck 3 times, maybe 3 times. You guys will see what I mean. But I may move that truck 3 times in that week, and the pay is so good that, like, you know what? I average over $1,000. Okay. All right, so now we just gonna go through some of these terms and let you know who is who, right? Before you could jump into a business, you need to understand what your role is in that business, okay? So whatever your role is in that business, excuse me, when you maximize that role, and y'all see, I'm not editing nothing, right? We're just gonna be real in the field out here because the money is real, okay? But whatever your role is, we have to maximize being the best at that role. Okay? So, prime example, some of you actually still working, still inside the workforce, right? Some of you are not in the workforce trying to find a way to do your own thing. But you will understand this. Being in the workforce, you ever had that one person that they weren't a manager? On paper, they were the same exact person as you, right? They had the same exact position as you. They got paid the same exact wage as you. But for some reason, this person feels like they can tell you what to do simply because they have aspirations of being a manager. And that makes you really dislike a person, doesn't it? Well, not dislike a person, but dislike their ways. Let's just put it like that, right? So what we don't want to do is be a dispatcher, but also try to be a shipper and a broker and all of this other good stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. If you go and you get the credentials to do that, then do that. What I'm saying is don't take on the responsibilities of what a broker is supposed to do as a dispatcher or what a shipper is supposed to do as a dispatcher, so on and so forth. So what you're going to learn is what roles people have. All right. So what is the role of a shipper? The role of a shipper, also known as a consignor, you may see that sometimes, right, is a person or company responsible for organizing oh my goodness, is a person or company responsible for organizing and transportation of goods from one point to another. Okay. Generally, the shipper bears the cost of freight, except otherwise stated in the transport contract before shipment. Now, with you being a dispatcher, most of the time you're not going to see that because the shipper is going to have an agreement with a broker. Now, the broker is going to be the person that works with the shipper because let's just use this as an example. The trailers that's on these big ships that's coming from China. Let's just use that as an example. You got trailers that's on a ship that's coming from China. The shipper is going to be whatever company it is in China. The broker is going to be the person that sets up a situation where they say, okay, well, we got 200 trailers, so we need XYZ amount of drivers to deliver these trailers. Okay? So just keep that in mind. What just happened? Alright, so now we're back to freight brokers. Now, a freight broker helps cargo owners, right? Cargo owners, not semi-truck owners, but cargo owners, ship their goods securely and efficiently, right? Brokers connect shippers with carriers. Now, whenever you see carriers, you're going to say, what is a carrier? A carrier is just simply a driver or, a semi. That person that's behind that semi is the carrier. So if you got a team, that's a carrier as well, right? And then help navigate and coordinate all the moving parts of the supply chain to ensure that the cargo gets to its destination, right? So that is like huge right there because what their job is to say, you know what, we got this freight, we're going to pair this freight with a good driver. This good driver is going to get it from the ports in Charleston, South Carolina, all the way out to Dallas, Texas, right? And we're just going to make sure that it gets there to its destination. So all of the other stuff that needs to go in between that, factoring companies, all whatever needs to go in between getting from point A to point B, and then a little bit after it gets dropped off to its destination, that's their job. So I know you guys are like, okay, well, if that's their job, what's mine, right? As a dispatcher, what am I to do? All right. So as a dispatcher, what are you to do? All right, here we go. Truck dispatchers schedule freight deliveries and arrange pickups for shipments and parcels, right? Their duties include scheduling truck drivers, relaying shipment details as arranged with customers, and setting up driver routes. Now, most of the time, your carriers are already going to have driver routes. They're already going to know exactly what route they want to take, right? However, we got so many other tools. We got Google Maps. We got all this other stuff that if we wanted to find the shortest route, it's not even hard to do. Okay? When we talk about our customer is the broker, right? Because the broker is representing the shipper, right? Because they're telling the shipper, hey, I can move this freight for you. I'll find the drivers for you. You represent the drivers. So you are the person that's in between the shipper and the driver. So you're the middleman between the driver and the broker. The broker is the middleman between the driver and the shipper, right? So they can't go to the driver because the driver's main thing that they want to focus on, because a lot of people miss this, but the main thing that a driver wants to focus on is driving. They don't want to send emails. They don't want to do paperwork. They don't want to pull off to the side of the road to pick up. They don't want to do all the phone calls. They jumped into the industry to drive. That's why they hire people like us. That's why they hire people like me. They want us to go and do all of that stuff on their behalf. Why? Because they do not want to do anything but drive. That is perfectly fine. Those that want to do more, guess what? They do more. They dispatch themselves. Do you know how many people don't want to deal with that paperwork? All right. So, what is a load board? Because I know you guys are probably like, okay, well, you know what? I hear about load boards a lot. So, what exactly is a load board? Okay. So, a load board or loads can be found on what's referred to as a load board. This is where the brokers, right? Remember, the shipper connected with the broker. The broker is now over the freight that's connecting with the carrier, but you are the person that's speaking for the carrier. So it's you two meeting together. All right. So this is where the brokers and shippers post their loads that need to be moved from one place to another for a rate. We will be going into a little bit about load boards today. I'm gonna be jumping from city to city just to like see what's going on. All right. So you guys can actually see as a dispatcher, contrary to what the news speaks of, how much money is still out there. And it's a lot. All right. They tell you, oh, it's a shortage. It's a lot of money still out there. All right. However, you can negotiate for a higher rate. All right. Now, before we get super deep into load boards, one thing that I want to do is get you guys to get a basic understanding of a load board, right? So, at number one, over here, that's in the right hand corner, we can see that the trip is 3,007 miles. Now, with that trip being 3,007 miles, um, we know how many miles it's going to take, right? So then we see the offer rate. Now the offer rate is 8,600. Um, that's that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. All right. So number three, we're gonna see um, where it's going from and where it's going to. Now, later on, you will learn what's supposed to go inside these parentheses. There's something that's called a deadhead that would go inside those parentheses. That means that the carrier is driving and they're moving without getting paid from the position that they are. Because sometimes that truck may end up in one place, and let's just say that it's in Atlanta, Georgia, and they're in Atlanta, Georgia, but you know the next load is also in Atlanta, Georgia, but they need to drive 20 miles. You will see like 20 right there, just letting you know that they're driving 20 miles without getting paid. All right. Number four is the weight. You guys will learn more about weight a little bit later. All right. Um, this is an example of a load board, but as you guys can see, this was 927. So I don't want to give you guys a situation as to where like you're looking at 927 and you're like, okay, well, what about today, right? What about today? So we're going to be going over some of that stuff as well. But I want to let you guys know how you get paid and you know what's your percentage and everything, because that's what you mainly want to know. You want to know, yo, how much am I going to make? Right? So here we go. So how do dispatchers get paid? The going rate for a freight dispatcher are anywhere between 5 and 12% or a flat rate. Now, your flat rate, I'm going to just be honest with you. Most of the time, you're not going to make as much as if you charge a percentage. Okay? Within charging a percentage, charge what you're worth. Okay? I typically tell people, especially after coming from this course, especially after coming from this training, 5% is simply not enough. You're going to be able to offer different things to carriers. You're going to be able to offer them factoring. You're going to be able to offer them, places where they could go get IFTA, You're going to be able to offer them all types of stuff. You're going to be able to find them the highest paying loads. 5% is not enough. Okay? 12% is on the high end. Me personally, I'm at 8%. I'm at 8%. Okay. All right. So, like, if we use this example, let me move me to where I can read this stuff. All right. So, if we use this example as to the load that we was looking at, that was $8,600, right? The payment example, if we use the $8,600 from the previous load, the broker agrees to pay the carrier $8,600, $8,600, 8,600 8,600 greenbacks, right? To move the load from point A to point B. Like, really think about that, right? And we're going to go over some real numbers today as well, all right? You have the carrier under agreement or contract, right? For let's say 8%, like what I charge people, right? The carrier will pay you $688 for that one load that week. For that one load that week. That one day that you work. Let's not forget that they either need to come back home or they need to go somewhere else. Sometimes you can move a truck 3 to 4 times per week. If you like really on your stuff, sometimes you might move that truck every day that week. And you're making $200 here, $300 there, $600 here, $200 there. Literally, it does not take long to book a load because you're going to learn all the parameters of your carrier later on, right? So let's go in here. All right, so what's your work from home setup could look like? Now, your setup could look exactly like this, right? You also can work from a cell phone for short periods of time. Now, when I say you can work from a cell phone, don't get me wrong, you can still book loads from a cell phone. However, your cell phone is not going to show you um, all of the things that a computer would show you. So sometimes, just the difference in the design, they will not show you certain loads or certain types of carriers or whatever it is. They may not show you everything. Okay. So a tablet is also acceptable. Now, if you just got like a general load, like you're moving a dry van, you're moving a reefer or something like that, um, you could definitely move a load from your cell phone at the airport. Now, this is one thing that I want you guys to understand. As long as you got a laptop and a phone, you'll be okay. Um, if you're on a cruise, you could pay that extra money to get that not laptop, to get that Wi-Fi, right? You pay that extra money, you get the Wi-Fi, and then guess what? You're back in business. You on vacation. You going out. You having a good time. You come back to your room. You sit in your room for 2, 3 hours, and you make the money that you spent on your vacation. Right? You miss nothing. You get to enjoy life. You could be at. There's plenty of times I've been at my son's basketball game, sitting there, get a message from a carrier. I get the message from the carrier. I go ahead and I find a load right there real fast. Boop, 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 boop. Make the call. Boom. I already know the information. I send it over. Boom. I get the rate confirmation. I send it over to the carrier. That carrier is moving, and I know that I'm going to be getting paid, making money while watching my son play basketball. Right? So, on that note, we're talking about do something great. Do something great. Now, here we go. We are in the low boards now, baby. We are in the low boards now. You guys wanted to see what it is because I already know that's the main thing that you guys want to know. Is how much money is out there, right? Matter of fact, let's before we do that. I want it. Okay. So before we do that, one thing that I want to do is get our calculator together. Right? So we're gonna get the calculator as well. Let's. Oh, what just happened? All right. Where's my calculator? All right. So here we go. So just looking at Louisiana, good bit of these loads going for 7. We're seeing 5,000 on the regular. Now, this one right here. Now, on average, your negotiating dollar. Most carriers are going to ask for about $2 per mile. So in this case, we're going to take this 1,800. Let's go ahead and click on it so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, well, that one was canceled. Wow. Wow. I guess Louisiana just, is that the same? All right. That must have been the same doggone company. That's crazy. All right. So on that note, let's just use this one as an example. Most carriers are going to ask for $2 per mile. We're seeing 2,000. Now look at this. Look at this trip. So we're seeing 2,032. We're going to multiply that by $2. So this is going to tell us that 4,264 is going to be it. However, we see 4,800. Now, whenever you're charging, you're not charging based on what they asked you for. You're going to charge on based on what you secured the load for. So if you secured the load at 4,800 and you're charging 8%, you're going to get $384. $384 for something that could have possibly taken you. Now, if you're just starting, it's probably going to take you about 30 to 45 minutes because you're going to want to learn all of the paperwork, where it needs to go, what's what, and we teach you that. With you knowing it, it's probably going to take you about 15 minutes, if that, for you to book a load. That's not bad at all. So we just looked at LA. Let's look at California. Let's see what California got going on. Let's see how much money Cali got going on out here. All right. Look at this. The average on California is about between $7,000 and $9,000, right? Between $7,000 and $9,000. Let's look at Illinois. Let's see what Illinois is. See what Illinois got going on. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Right? So we got something that's up here that's super big. Matter of fact, let me see what's going on with this. Okay. So on average, we're looking at anywhere between between 5,000 and 8,000. Between 5,000 and 8,000. That's in Illinois. Now, I know it's a lot of people that try to take courses that's from Florida. I try to tell people, if you're in Florida, buckle up. It's gonna look a little bit ugly, but make sure that you get your truck from Florida. Just get it out of Florida. Just get it out of Florida. So we're seeing what 4,000, between 4 and 7,000. So that's a little different. Now, whenever we look at 7,000, did I exit out? I did. Wow. All right, so let's just use 7,000. We're going to take this 7,000. We're going to times that by 8%. Oh, what are you doing? 4,000 times 8%. 320. There we go. I saw it right before I hit the equal twice. I'm just doing some crazy stuff. But it's 320. So you're gonna make $320 off of this 7,000. And literally, once you book the load, you're not driving the load. You're not driving the load, people. Seriously, you're not driving the load. So how much work are you really doing after the fact? And I'm going to teach you guys how to automate this stuff all the way. So, on that note, I wanted to show you all something different as well. Now, before I get into that, hold on, where did it go? Okay, so we're gonna go over to idispatch.org. A lot of you probably already seen this on your Instagram, YouTube, Google, whatever, right? You done seen it there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys some stuff right here, right? Now, let's go ahead and turn it off one time. But you know what? Let's buy it real quick. Y'all know what song this is. Wait till I get my money right. Get your money right, man. Stop playing. Stop playing. Cause I'm trying to show you how to get some money. I'm trying to show you how to get some money. Alright, you guys see. Yeah. You can get paid $300 a day. You sitting at home. Alright, so anyway, let's go outside of that. So here we go. Now we are in iDispatch, right? Matter of fact, let's back up. So let me show you how to do this thing all the way across. So at iDispatch, you're going to be able to have a student portal. When you get to that student portal,